Hello everybody, this is Seibenlore, here bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. In today's video, I'd like to continue going over the stories of the former Khans of Tarkir to figure out how exactly the events of Fate Reforged truly changed their lore. So let's get right on to today's topic and discover how Surrak Dragonclaw became Surrak Huntcaller. During the original timeline of Tarkir, the dragons were driven to extinction and the plane was ruled by clans and their Khans. The Temur clan was ruled by one who carried the title Dragonclaw and was given an ancient gauntlet that took that form. Throughout the Temur's history, the leader of the clan only rose to power after successfully completing a predestined trial. As a young boy, Surrak was given a ritualistic vision of his own trial to come. Should he one day pass this challenge, he will adorn the Dragonclaw. The vision spoke to this young man. It filled his heart with ferocity. Yet, he had nothing to his credit up until this point, other than coming from a long line of Dragonclaw ancestors. Some in his clan believed this lineage was not enough to prove him worthy of the claw, and even fewer believed the young man would prove victorious in his trial. For Surrak's trial, he must meet and best a great and powerful creature in one-on-one combat. As the young man ventured to find his destiny, he encountered an enormous cave bear, one which had been plaguing the hunting parties of his tribe for some time. This beast was certainly large enough to be the one from his visions, so he shouted the ancient words of the Whisperers and readied himself for the fight. The bear showed no fear in its glare. It stood up, and Surrak realized that the animal had to be at least double his own height. It charged at the young hunter, catching him off guard. Before he could appropriately react, a massive paw struck the right side of Surrak's face. With blood pouring down his chin, and with an eye which was bloodied beyond recognition, Surrak balanced himself on a tree. He saw that the bear was beginning to charge again, but this time, Surrak was ready. He planted his feet, clenched his fists, and leaped forward, landing a devastating blow to the side of the great beast's head. The power of that punch was akin to the force of a swing from an axe, and so, the bear was completely stunned. Taking this opportunity, Surrak jumped on the beast's back and began to strike its head repeatedly. The bear jumped and bucked, attempting to rid himself of his challenger. Surrak held on strong to the fur of the bear until he could hold on no longer and was flung from its back. With the fur still warm in his hands, Surrak was ready to finish the fight. The bear looked down towards the snowy terrain and admitted defeat. It shook its head in a daze and walked off, leaving Surrak with his trophies of ripped fur and broken teeth. He took these offerings back to the Temur elders. Pleased with his trial accomplishment, they allowed him to lead his own band of fighters and hunters. From that day on, Surrak would lead hunts and battles alike for his clan. During one hunting season, the Temur found themselves being constantly raided by the Sultai clan. Unable to appropriately hunt game in their lands, the Khan decided to send out parties to repel the invaders. It seemed to be Surrak's destiny that he and his small band of warriors came across a large encampment of the Sultai. Their numbers were few when compared to the Sultai's legions of Naga, mystics, and undead soldiers, but, as the Temur tend to do, they charged in anyway. Fearing no numerical disadvantage, they took to their ferocious and savage fighting styles. The Sultai were stunned by the brazen attack from such a smaller force. They attempted to fend off the crazed wild men as best as they could. While one of Surrak's fighters could take down 10 or more of the Sultai, their warriors began to fall to the overwhelming numbers. As Surrak and his remaining men were separated, he found himself surrounded by the ranks of the undead. Ready to take as many as he could with him, Surrak prepared to meet his ancestors. In that moment, he heard a familiar roar come from the tree line. He and the Sultai looked up to see a large, shaggy figure charging towards them. It was the bear he had once beaten as a rite of passage. It was unmistakable, for it was missing an ear Surrak had taken from the creature years ago. His challenger turned ally devastated the undead ranks as he made his way to Surrak's side. Once together, they brought out death to every Sultai soldier in their path. The rest of his men, understandably shaken up by what just happened, composed themselves and again rallied to Surrak's leadership. Soon, their lands were freed of the Sultai which stained the snow of their homes. Surrak turned to his newfound ally only to discover that it had been pelted by poisoned Sultai arrows. The pain the beast was in was visible, and Surrak's duty was clear. in an act of mercy, he ended this beast's life, and spoke the words to send his spirit to the ancestors of the Temur as a hero. Upon his victory, he came back wearing the pelt and claws of this strong and noble beast, keeping it close to him as a sign of respect. The elders acknowledged this man's strength and commitment to his people, and awarded him the Dragonclaw. Surrak rose and became the Khan of the Temur. But this life of accomplishment and tough determination is no longer the life of Surrak. With the events of Fate Reforged, dragons did not go extinct, but rather the Khans did. Surrak in this new timeline is no longer the Dragonclaw because that title no longer exists. The Dragon Lord of the clan once known as the Temur, Atarka, made the Dragonclaw title illegal because it was named for killing a dragon in the past. Now that the mountain folk serve Atarka, they forever seek to sate the great dragon's hunger. They have an uneasy truth with the dragon and her brood. As long as they keep her fed, she will not feed on them. And this is the life we now see for Surrak. He is the lead hunt caller for Atarka. As hunt caller, Surrak is responsible for leading the hunts which will supply their Dragon Lord with her meals. This position is well respected in this timeline, for while hunt callers existed in Surrak's original life, they only served to feed their people. Now, the hunt caller protects his people. As Surrak and his new group of hunters were tracking a large beast which could fill their Dragon Lord for a week, they were set upon by one of the dragons in Atarka's brood. This dragon seemed sluggish and sick. It did not have the intelligence the others in her brood possessed. Surrak tried to hide from the dragon, for it was a punishable crime to hurt any of Atarka's brood. But what could he do if it attacked his hunting party? His only mission was to bring back meat for Atarka, and no man, beast, or dragon could ever prevent this. For if he failed, it would cost the lives of everyone. He and his party eventually tracked their prey and successfully brought it down. They hurried and put its giant corpse on the sledge, for they saw a snowstorm approaching. As they were making their return trip, the same sickly dragon was spotted swooping down from the sky. The antlers made it clear this was one of Atarka's brood, but it was obviously disturbed in some way. The dragon landed on the hunter's kill, feeding from it with ravenous speed. Surrak had no ability to speak Draconic, but he had discovered a method of creating similar sounds by rubbing dragon scales together. With this crude method, he attempted to tell the dragon that he was Atarka's hunt caller and that the meat was meant for her. It was a great crime this dragon was committing. The desperate dragon paid the warnings no mind, but Surrak had to protect this meat somehow, so he did what he does best. He punched the dragon in the face. With that single blow, Surrak snapped the dragon's neck, killing it instantly. The others in his party saw this as a great problem. Killing one of Atarka's brood was unheard of, and they could only imagine what punishment was in store for them. Surrak only said that their mission was to feed Atarka, and that this dragon was preventing that mission. They had to carry onwards. They then found themselves stopped by a blizzard. The group couldn't get a fire going and all their meat had frozen solid. Surrak ventured back into the snow and dismembered the corpse of the dragon they had killed earlier, bringing back meat and a gooey sack-like organ. From this organ, he poured a foul liquid onto the wood and it caught a spark. It was dragon fire, and the meat that he returned with was pure dragon meat. Surrak had never had dragon meat before, but he said it was the most delicious thing he had ever tasted. With a heavy heart, he and his group finally returned to their Dragon Lord, who appeared to be upset with their lateness. As Surrak offered this particularly hearty meal, Atarka appeared pleased and began to gorge on the feast. Out of regret, one of Surrak's men declared that their leader had killed one of her brood during the hunt, hoping her anger would only be directed towards Surrak. Atarka lifted her head from the meal, appearing almost annoyed by what the man said. In her draconic tongue, she was translated to say, "Take care of it." With that, the man pulled out a knife on Surrak and attempted to kill the hunt caller. Surrak stated that the Dragon Lord was not talking about him, and delivered a punch to the man's chest, breaking several ribs. As he walked away from the beaten man, he explained that Atarka cherishes power over everything. It's the only reason why the dragons rule this world. The dragon Surrak killed was sick and weak, and so, if it could be killed, then it should be killed, especially when it interferes with the Dragon Lord herself. So, there you go guys, the story behind how Surrak Dragonclaw became Surrak Huntcaller after the events of Fate Reforged. If you want to know more about the Khan and the clan before they were ruled by dragons, you can find out more in my Temur video here. But for now, I want to know what you guys think about this face-punching Khan/Huntcaller. Are any of you running this card in one of your decks? Let me know that in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. It really goes a long way. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.